longer than it needed to be because we're talking about things that have already been voted on. It's done. Things that are budgeted for are budgeted for. Food is budgeted for food. The stadium had a budget. There are grants that you can't spend the money that was given for the stadium on curriculum. You can't. That's not how it works. You can't spend the money that was for food on special education. I wish you could. I have children in special education, but you can't. It's not the way it works. It's not the way the funding works. So if you don't like the way it's being spent, run for office. That's that simple. My question is, when there is an emergency situation, such as the unfortunate thing that happened last week, which was devastating for everyone involved, our students, the staff member. I mean, obviously, no one is looking at him thinking like we should go, burn his car. It's terrible. And I feel for him as a person in every sense of the way. But what can we do as a district to provide a better communication system in things like that instead of it being just an email? We get the messages, the calls, right, or the texts that say, this is Superintendent whoever, this is what's happened today. I would feel more comfortable hearing that than just getting an email. I'd really like to see that happen in the future.
I'm going to take part responsibility for that, and I was relying on what has been past practice with situations. This was a pretty unique situation. That is one thing that maybe we might do differently, where I would do a call out and so on. But so I appreciate that.
Or anytime there's like a suspected anything time that's locked down, even if it is for a medical emergency, just even if it's Courtney Bolden. Hi, this is Courtney Bolden. I just want to let you know all of your children are safe. Hearing that voice, right? Hearing that voice, knowing that your children are safe and everything is okay, we have everything under control. We'll update you as we get more information. But the school is locked down at this time. My 2 other children go to Catholic school. That's what they do. They set out an emergency alert. We get the phone call, and then it just makes us feel better to know a familiar voice as to what's going on. So that would be my only question: is if we can implement something like that. And I think you all are doing a wonderful job. And I know that this is not an easy position, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you. Hang on to that. Hang on to that. I want to get this final thing through, and then maybe we can answer your question as well. Board members, before we get out of here tonight, I wanted to give every one of you, and I know Nick and Jeannie have been speaking mostly on behalf of the board, and rightly so. But I want to give every one of you, if you have any reactions to, the feedback from our community here tonight, and any final thoughts that you would want to share. Not to put you on the spot, Mr. Perez, but you're at the end of the table there. So.
Hi, Phil Perez again, and thank you very much. You have been an added great resource for our school, and like you've mentioned before, you're always available if anybody wants to come ask questions and meet with you. You constantly said, yeah, I'll be available. Same thing with Dr. Barrett. Great job, and thank you. And as you mentioned before, Dr. Barrett, the staff, the teachers, everybody, U.S. News and World Reports, I think it was, places our school number 75 in the state of Pennsylvania. That's fantastic. This is a great school system. So thank you.
Thank you. Janelle.
Mrs. Brumgard kind of hit it on the head. We all got on the board. The community, whether it was you or your neighbor, voted and placed us here in this position. It's not easy. To sit in a board meeting every week and be berated by someone from the community who already has heard the facts and then goes to social media and shares things that are not true. And you as a public official can't do anything about it. It's hard. I had 2 kids that graduated from this school. They love it. One just got married and tried to buy a house in Littlestown. And everybody loves Littlestown because the prices are going like $20,000, $30,000 over. And he and his wife would still like to bring their, when they have family back to Littlestown, but right now that's not feasible. They love this town. I love this town. That's why I got on this board. I'm a very passionate person. Many of you have seen me on the sidelines. I give back a lot of my time to the community by taking pictures for your athletes, for your students to have. I love it. I don't do it for a thank you. I do it because I love it. And I was that parent who wished I would have had all those pictures. And so I love giving back. I love serving. I have a servant's heart, which is kind of the reason I'm here. I would say majority of the board, we work very well together. We don't always agree, and there can be some strong discourse. But, and I didn't finish, I have 3 little guys that my husband and I we adopted. And they are almost all in middle school. Can't wait to we're at the middle school stage. I love our elementary school, but starting over 10 years, that's kind of why I got invested. I wasn't a part of the school board and meetings when my older 2 boys came through. Our older 2 and our younger 3 are 10 years apart. And then COVID happened and started getting involved and decided it was time to run. And so I've invested a long time in this community. I have kids, all 3 of my boys are in 7th, 6th, and 5th grade. They play sports. We are always here involved in so many areas of the school, and we do that because we love this town, we love this community, and we love serving. And so, that's why I'm running again. And it isn't easy. We do have to make very hard decisions. Sometimes maybe they're not the right decision. But if I can also share that you have a lot of school board members who pray over this community and our teachers, our staff, and our students on a daily basis.
Thank you. Donna?
Good evening. I wanted to thank all of you for coming out tonight. As much as we go to a lot of meetings and attend a lot of events, I want to thank you for taking time out of your evening to come out and spend time with us and ask tough questions. I'm running for school board on this board to be able to keep my seat because I'm passionate about public education. I bring with me 10 years of experience on a school board in Frederick County, Maryland. That's probably 90% larger than this school system. So I think I have a lot to offer Littlestown. I live here in town. I've lived here for several years now. I moved from Maryland here to Pennsylvania to retire. And I thought I was out of education. The longer I was out of it, the more I wanted to be in it. And I really like this little town. I care about the people that reside here. So I'm running to hopefully improve your school, improve the student scores, hopefully improve this board, and with a very strong eye to keeping your taxes down. That's very important to me. So I thank you again for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Donna.
Yeah.
Jean? Oh.
Me and Jeannie have talked.
Oh, okay, okay.
Move to Steve, and then you can come back to us.
Mr. Sullivan? Dwayne?
First off, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. When I entered into this 2023, I never thought it would be so hard. The dichotomy of the board was totally different back when I was filming the meetings when Dean Nestor was president. But they never really had an issue at all. I came on here, and my objective was to be the mouthpiece for the district. I had done a lot of door knocking in 2022, and I've heard a lot of stories from people at their front doors. And I felt compelled to run, not for myself, but for the district. And I really care about this district. I've never had any children in this district. I've always lived in Maryland up until 2005. But when I moved in here, I liked the tiny-knit community that Littlestown is. I like the cohesion that this community brings. It's a nice hometown. I would like to see this district be somewhere everybody wants to move to. I would like to see it reach that level. I can't tell you how disheartening it is for me to hear over the years that people don't want to move here because they don't like this district's education. I've heard it multiple times. I would like to see us be the place they do want to come. My heart is in this. I don't have a personal issue in this district. My heart's in it. I am here for you all. I'm not here for me. So if you all want to reach out any time to me at any meeting, at any time, please do. I'm a listener. I'll try to adjust to the things that the constituents, taxpayers, residents, and parents need. So I would appreciate it if we could have an open dialogue more often with our community, because our community is who we serve. We forget sometimes when we're elected to an official position that we are not supposed to serve ourselves. We're supposed to serve the district. It's not about us. So I just wanted to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to us tonight, to come out. I would like to see more involvement
Thank you, Steve. Dr. Berryman, any final thoughts on your end?
I would just say I didn't really know what to expect this evening, how many people would come out, and I was pleasantly surprised by the number of people that came out. The questions that we got were really good questions. I took some notes down to take back to the voting levels that we need to work on, or, flush out some ideas with. Dawn and the gentleman in the back, if you could please see me before you leave, I would appreciate it. But thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Thank you. Board officers, any final thoughts on your end?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming out. And in the news recently, there's been, not around here, but in other states, school closings because enrollments are down. We are going to have our second retirement community, and we're a small town. Our enrollment is down, and we're trying to do everything we can to follow our policies strictly and the laws and the Sunshine Act on purpose so that, there isn't any confusion of how things are supposed to be run or if we're doing it properly or not. So if we seem strict in meetings, it's because we're trying to follow things perfectly so that we don't, have lawsuits or whatever. I'm not trying to bring anything up against Suzanne, but if we want people to want to move here, we want enrollment to increase, and we need to have positive things on social media, in the news, and that's what we're aiming for. So if you could just work with us in these meetings, it would be helpful.
Thank you, Jeannie. Nick?
All right, I really, really would like to thank each and every one of you for coming this evening. This has been a great session to hear from the community and really engage in a dialogue. This community engagement is important. It's important for us as your elected officials to hear the things that you want us to speak about, to do, to act upon. We heard things tonight that we were sometimes the first time hearing about. And we've heard some different perspectives on issues that we have addressed in the past. So we appreciate all of these perspectives merging. I think that it would be great in order to, at some point, do this again in the future. I hope when we do that, that everyone can get behind that. I hope we pack even more people into the auditorium, and I hope that board members, especially if you are in favor of doing things like that, would refrain from discouraging people from coming at future events. But I really appreciate everyone that has been here tonight. I appreciate Dr. Moyer for doing an excellent job moderating this evening. And please, if there are any follow-up questions that you have, if there are any additional questions that you have, please contact the board email online, Dr. Moyer, Dr. Berryman, and board leadership or our administrators would love to get back to you and talk to you about your issue.
Thank you, Nick. I also want to just express how appreciative I am of you all taking time out of your schedules to be here tonight. I do want you to know I'm really enjoying getting to know more of you and getting to know the board members here, and I do believe they're pretty darn dedicated and passionate, every one of them. If you did not get a chance to ask your question tonight, even if you want to hang around a little bit afterwards and just talk to us individually, that would be great. We're willing to hang around for a little while longer, but I don't want to hold you too much longer. But please, if you have any unresolved issues, come to us, communicate it. Don't get frustrated. All right. Let us try to respond. It may not be exactly what you were hoping for, but hopefully you're going to get a response and you're going to get an answer. The final thing I'm going to say before I let you go, being a superintendent of a school is not a part-time job. I'm here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I want to say a personal thank you to Dr. Berryman. There are times, as a result of me only being here 3 days a week, which is the best I can do right now, there are times where she has to take on more responsibilities. So I want to personally thank her, and I think she's doing a terrific job in that regard. If you would like to hang around a little longer and ask us anything, please do. Otherwise, you are... Yeah, he's going to hang around afterwards.
I had a pretty short question, but it's...
Yeah, you got it. Go ahead. How can we say no to a good-looking guy like that?
I have two students in the district, one in Alloy Creek, one here. And I had kind of a general statement. I heard earlier somebody saying that we did an internal investigation. You know, I hear that come up a lot in Congress. Oh, we did an internal investigation. Who, like, you know, and then there was a gentleman in the back that had made a comment about a kill list. My daughter told me that there was 3 lockdowns in the last week at the school she's at, Alloy Creek. Nobody told me about this. So when we do an internal investigation, who decides who gets to know what? Because I'm also concerned about some sexual harassment issues I've heard. And I'm not going to bring up a teacher, but it's at this school. And my son brought this to my attention, that it's common knowledge that this person likes to look down girls' shirts. That I talked to my niece who went here, and she says, oh yes, we reported this person, but nothing came of it. And any number of people I've talked to, lots of people have, oh yeah, that's how that person is. Well, we can't do anything because they're insulated due to like unions or something. I don't know. But my concern is, I see a lot of people kind of like, oh, I haven't heard about that before. So, how many people have to report this issue before it's taken seriously? Because if multiple students are saying, I know, rumors happen, but my son mentions, my friend's sister's, feels like she has to cover herself because, this person drops pencils.
Oh my, I heard this too.
Yep.
I heard this too.
That's my
So you said you had a simple question. You lied.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I say something earlier.
Can I just say this?
I heard this too. I
Can
heard
I
it
just
last
say
week.
this? In my 40 years being in the field, there are sometimes people that make other people feel uncomfortable. When you do an investigation, you talk to everybody that's involved, and you come and you take the best action that you feel is reasonable. What did the person say or do that was inappropriate? And sometimes everybody and staff members deserve due process, and they deserve fairness as well. So I would just say, if you have specific concerns or allegations like that, go through the chain of command, make the people aware of it, and I can promise you, from what I've learned just in the month that I've been here, we got good people that will follow up and will do an investigation, and if they need to take action, they will. But they're also going to treat people fairly. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Dr. Moyer, if I can just chime in real quickly on that. Yes.
Was that the Dante situation?
Well, so that's what I want to say. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Just real quick though, so when we talk about, there's a couple terminology things that are not accurate, so I just want to help out with that. At Alloy Creek, we've had 3 medical emergencies. And so they're called restricted movements. They're not lockdowns. Like when we do lockdowns, it's because, well, usually they're a drill. Like we don't normally do lockdowns as a matter
saying?
Keeping the transparency alive is really important to every family in this district, and I can speak for a lot of people in that.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm not saying I disagree with it. When we are a public school, we educate everybody. At Alloway Creek, we have a multiple disabilities classroom, an MDS classroom. These are kids that have serious medical issues. There are going to be times when, and this young man who had a serious seizure, today I'm glad to say I believe he's doing okay to the best of our knowledge and so on. But I mean, those when you're housing MDS classes, we have to make a decision. By sending out an alert, do we make people much more upset? Does social media go on fire like it does these days? Thank God I grew up in an era where we didn't have social media, and the way it just perpetuates itself. So we constantly are put in the middle. Should we or shouldn't we? I guess what we should do is err on the side of communicating. I get what you're saying. But I also would say if it's an isolated incident on a young person who's having a seizure, does that need to go out to everybody? I'm not sure if that does or not. We've held you here long enough. Nick, please, yes, please do.
To address part of your concern, and even the gentleman in the back, the concerns that you stated earlier, relating to student discipline matters and staff discipline matters, personnel matters. There are basically, due to the chain of command, due to the statutory requirements and the legal things that we have to comply with, the board most of the time is not made aware and cannot be made aware until the final stages of discipline. We cannot be made aware of day-to-day student discipline matters until it rises to the level of an expulsion. We cannot be made aware of day-to-day staff discipline until it rises to the level of a termination or possibly a suspension or something like that the board would actually have to take action on. Because we have to be an impartial, fair jury to conduct a hearing, either a termination hearing or an expulsion hearing. So that's why a lot of times if you take these incidents directly to a board member, we're not going to know. Because we have to be, by the law, left in the dark so that we can operate in an impartial and fair manner. But our administrators do a great job in handling incidents. I have full confidence in these two that they will address concerns as they come up, and that's their job to handle student and teacher discipline in the early stages until it rises to such a level that the board has to.
But if it's something as severe as a criminal activity that could result in a liability issue for the school, I would disagree that the school board shouldn't be made aware for the purpose of understanding the liability, because if that student, and it determines that like, hey, the investigation is done, and then something happens, the school is now liable for that situation. So in that case, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm saying that you should be liable. You should understand that to understand the liabilities within your district.
And I will say that our superintendent and solicitor, I'm sure in situations that would involve any sort of liability, our solicitor, I'm sure is heavily involved in those types of matters. And we'll take it back to the solicitor for questions, but we have to, because if we're pre-exposed to a student discipline matter, we can't conduct a fair expulsion hearing. And so therefore, the board is unable to do its fulfill its statutory requirement.
Thank you.
Can I just, I'm sorry, one more question. I know, so after the last incident, many parents reached out to me, and suggested there was another situation with a teacher. And they suggested they made phone calls, they emailed, and there were several people, and it's very concerning to me. My children are cutting paths. Well, my one is here, but anyway. And it just doesn't seem like it's getting addressed, and it's
All I can tell you, if you have information that will be helpful to us, pass it along. All right.
just unfortunately, it's been passed along, and
Okay.
not
Yeah.
about.
So I'm sorry, I don't have the history on that. Maybe Dr. Berryman does or whatever. But I would encourage you, they can come and talk to me. One last thing, though, before we get out of here. John, would you stand up just for a minute? This guy has been a terrific resource for Littlestown School District. not just the way that incident was handled last Tuesday, but he's been a real help in that regard. I've seen the relationship that he has with our leadership team and with the kids and so on. And John, I also want to publicly thank you and Dan for the jobs that you do for us. So thank you. This guy is John, if they keep behaving like this, we may not have you come to some of these meetings in the future, all right? Good night, guys. Good night. Have a good one.
Thank you.